Okay, we are in a time of confusion. Let me quote from St. Matthew's Gospel. Then if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, do not believe him. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch as to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told it to you beforehand. In other words, Jesus is saying, when this time comes, no, I warned you. And in St. Mark's Gospel, it's put this way. And then if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, lo, he is here, do not believe. For there will rise up false Christs and false prophets, and they show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. Take you heed, therefore, behold, I have foretold you all things. Okay. My personal opinion is we are in this time. Okay. We are in a time of confusion. I made a video on the Catholic's duty to the church and wrote a piece, What Can People Judge in Regard to Heresy? Because we've had to make some difficult judgments. It's not a light matter to say the man who claims to be Pope is in fact a heretic and therefore not Pope. Okay, and we've all made that judgment. I'm presuming that you're here wanting to know my opinion. You've already made that judgment because you've separated yourself from his church. In my case, I'm talking, when I did it, it was Paul VI. For you, it might be John Paul II, Benedict I of the Novus Ordo Church. He calls himself 16th to further confusion. Or Francis, okay? Doesn't matter. He could even be John Paul I. He wasn't in long enough. But you have separated because you believe these people are doing insane, heretical things, and that you cannot have communion with that. Because you separate for any other reason, it's agnosticism, as I observed in our duty to the church. So we've made some serious decisions. Now, why aren't we all on the same page? Is it because we deliberately want to be heretics? All right? And so we need to get into this matter of how do we judge. First of all, we do not judge the person's heart. All we have to judge by are what we see on the outside, okay? His actions and the words that flow from his mouth. Whether they flow with ignorance or deliberation, we cannot judge, okay? The law actually tells us if he appears to be a heretic, he is a heretic. That's cum ex apostolaris officium, that's canon 2200. Okay? We don't judge his internal condition. We judge by the external actions and words. Okay? And if let's just say it's a single action or word, a slip of the tongue, we don't judge that to be heresy. We're looking for ongoing, like in the case of their position in regard to Muslims worshiping the one true God, which is in 2 Vatican II decrees, an encyclical of Paul VI. I'm not sure if it's any other encyclicals. You can go on the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops website. They've got them all lined up for you. The statements in regard to Islam. Speeches mostly, John Paul II, we worship the same God, Benedict XVI, Francis, whatever. They are consistent. Okay, whenever this subject comes up, they say substantially the same thing. They worship the one true God. That's heresy. Okay, so we judge that, and that's how we make our basis. Now, let us take a look at those who have pulled away from the Vatican II Conciliar Church. And that's where the confusion comes in. And the first position I believe we need to take with most people, and in fact we should take it with all people. I have a very short list, which I don't take this position with, like Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre. But I have a lot of evidence, and I don't have time to present that here. But let us presume that everyone is in good faith and is attempting to do what they believe is right for the church. Now, our positions are different. And we must be consistent with our position. That's in another video. I'll talk about consistency. But what we need to only judge is their position, not the people who hold it. Okay? Because I know a lot of these people, and I think a lot of them are sincere. I think there are a few possibly who are insincere. The only time I have to judge that is if they want to work with me, and they're showing insincerity in working with me. That's the only time I should do it. So basically, whatever person, when I do bring up names, as I have some recent videos, and older ones as well, unless I present a large body of evidence to prove my position, I think this person is truly insincere, I am mentioning them because they represent a position. Any condemnation is not of them, but of the position as being inconsistent. In fact, I'm working on a refutation of one of the home aloners' positions. He's asked every priest and bishop to comment on his plea or petition for spiritual help. Okay, his name's Patrick Henry, so put it out there. jmjsite.com. Well, his petition, I agree with probably 90-95% of it. I mean, I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to agree with Bishop Pivarunas on a lot, Bishop Dolan, Bishop Sanborn. I think he's written some excellent things. I never bought the material formal thing. Even when I couldn't figure out the papacy thing, I said either he is or he isn't. This is, well, the position I considered absurd. Okay. It doesn't mean that those holding it can't write and say some really good things. Okay. So what we judge only is the position. We don't judge the people. Now we have to take a position our own selves, and we have to sort things out. That's why we can go back to my piece, what can people judge in regard to heresy? Well, I talk a little bit about heresy in here, and then I talk about Catholics' duty of obedience to the church, because I realized that the answer was there, and I went through all of that. Then I get down to, are there any precedent cases for our times? And several have identified some precedent cases, and I'll give you these. It might help you in your own study of the matter. The first is Western Schism. St. Antoninus reports at this time, although it is necessary to believe that there is but one supreme head of the church, nevertheless, if it happens that two popes are created at the same time, it is not necessary for the people to believe that this one or that one is the legitimate pontiff. They must believe that he alone is the true pope who has been regularly elected, and they are not bound to discern who that one is. As to that point, they may be guided by the conduct and opinion of their particular pastor. Now, someone put this quote on a discussion board, and that's maybe why I don't spend much time in those places. Someone said, well, that's an argument for Francis, for his legitimacy. Because don't all the pastors say it? No, we've already judged. They're not our pastors. Okay, and our duty to the church, we have already judged. By removing ourselves from that church, they are not our pastors. We can go a step further. You can look, several of the traditionalist bishops have been quite clear when they get into deeper stuff, we are not your pastor. We do not have that authority in the Catholic Church. They're claiming epikeia, and they've taken epikeia way out there. All right, all of them. Every one of them. In fact, their position on epikeia is identical. And when we talk about epikeia, I'll say a little bit on the position on epikeia. The example used is a walled city which has a law the gates cannot be opened without the permission of the mayor of the city. The mayor happens to be gone on business. A fire breaks out, and in order to let the people go to safety, they throw the gates open. Against the law. That's epikeia. All right, the problem is, when the gates got thrown open, traditionally we all ran out of the church. We didn't realize it at the time. And instead of starting a bucket brigade to put the fire out, well, the gates are open anyway, The traditionalists went out and built their own new cities. And that's my opinion on it. And that's why I believe the position's wrong. There's the letter of St. Athanasius to its people. Even if Catholics faithful to tradition are reduced to a handful, they are the ones who are the Church of Jesus Christ. You can look up his letter. I'm pretty sure I posted it someplace. But yes. And then we had St. John Chrysostom on B. Prelates. Well, everything is in this piece. What can people judge in regard to heresy? And that's very good. And then I go back into discussing what heresy is and the ipso facto nature of heresy, because people question. And then my final conclusion, we have already judged. All right? But yes, our position must be consistent. And when something comes up that appears to contradict our position, we should at least look at the evidence again. Okay? Because it's easy to just get comfortable in one of these traditionalist churches now, which are not really churches. If they're honest, the priest there is not a pastor. Therefore, they cannot erect churches according to canon law. Either 83 or 17 code, doesn't matter. They're not allowed. In the early days, the traditionalists knew this. They called them mass centers. Some started calling them chapels. Well, we can't erect chapels. A mass center, that was at least an honest word. So we need to be honest. We need to be humble. And we need to not be judgmental. Because I believe every one of you who are watching this video, although you may not agree with me on everything, I think you're honestly trying to find the truth. And that's what I'm hoping to do. I discuss two types of things. One, I discuss those things which we all need to know for the spiritual life. I don't see enough of that from the traditionalists. Okay? We're to become saints. And two, I do discuss my position and why I have reached it. And I provide you with resources here on YouTube and my websites, Vatican Exile, Pope-Michael, Pope-Speaks, all.coms. My books, some of which I do give away for free occasionally, and usually I announce that at Facebook. I've never made an announcement here on YouTube. I'm not quite sure how that works, because I can only give them away for free 5 days out of every 3 months, I think it is. And I think it's all based on publication date. I know one book, I had 3 occasions to give it away for free, and I've used up my 5 days. I'm not sure if they rolled back yet or not. But I can give them away for free on Kindle. You want a hardcover? You got to pay for it. But I believe you're all sincerely seeking the truth. That's why you're here. Now, I want to provide especially those truths that will help you become a saint. Because if you're working to become a saint, God will eventually straighten everything else out for you. But I will also discuss the position on occasion. But let us be non-judgmental. Let us pray for each other. Let us become saints. Benedicte omnipotentis, Patris et Filii, Spiritus Sancti, Sed Super Turbos, Mani et Semper. Amen. God bless you all.